I don't think you'd have to be a genius to know that the last thing the Horn of Africa needs is more foreign military bases, more weapons and more European meddling. What we call our strategic relationship isn't about human flourishing, it's about the EU's ambitions as a superpower. There's now a new great game in the Horn of Africa. Greater and lesser powers are pockmarking the place with military bases. France, the US, China, Germany, Japan, Italy, Saudi Arabia all have a presence in the tiny area of Djibouti alone. Mercenaries are swarming in from all quarters. The entire region is being militarised. War is in the air. And what about the people facing climate and food insecurity? None of this benefits them. We talk about instability, but we only make it worse. We flood the place with weapons, hand over the profits to European arms companies and charge the bill to our citizens. And then with the carnage, we go back in and we do it all again. It's a racket. Strategic relationship, it's one thing after another, isn't it? Really, it's the same as it ever was. And all I can say is God save Africa from Europeans offering help.
Hello guys, my name is Golden Boy and I want to talk about what Dr. Claudia has been talking about Africa. Now before I indulge in this, have you noticed that the African males have been keeping over to white boy, but when it comes to women, are the people who have the balls to talk about these issues which are affecting Africa. Now I want to talk about the European strategy, which has always been successful and has always been to divide and conquer. When I talk about divide and conquer, I'm talking about when a black nation gets stronger leader who doesn't want a Western society lifestyle. They'll end up destroying this black leader's reputation and have their own people to form, or they have our own people to form a rebel group that is going to help transform their strategies, or to put their strategies. Apart from that, you'll also find that these groups are going to help to remove the leader. Now, our people have always been fighting the battles against search for the Europeans. But what I always knew, why since back when I was very, very kid, is that same is also happening in the United States of America. Now it seems like everyone else is finally about to realize its hope. Now, when you come to 1970s, you also find that it's also the same thing that happened to Dr. This Idi Amin, who they turned him into a bad person by using our black people to attack him and turn against him. Now I want you to listen to what Dr. Arikana is also going to talk about, the same issues which I've been talking about concerning these military bases and why they are here in Africa. Now indulge in this video and I'll see you at the end of the video.
Why is it that we are here in Ghana? There is a military base here that American soldiers can walk in. No passport, no ID. They walk right through. If they commit crimes, they rape women, they kill women. No policeman in Ghana can touch them. Why? Where is the Ghanaian military base in the United States? Where is the French military base? Where is the Burkina Faso military base in France? Where is the Nigerian military base in Russia? Every superpower is building bases throughout Africa. Where are the African military bases in those countries? As I say some of these things, it's almost like it's a joke. So we need more Traores in Africa. Nigeria said when the US government increased their visa to 250 to get a visa to go to the United States, Nigeria said, no worries, you also have to pay 250 if your people want a visa. But turn around and go to Namibia. I was shocked. Namibians pay about $170 to get a visa to go to the United States, but Americans, when they go to Namibia, nothing, zero, not a penny. Just come. Now guys, let's have a serious conversation here. Who is stupid? Whose problem is it? We are the problem. What is leadership doing? Leadership is doing nothing. Leadership is voting on sheer stupidity. Stupidity causing us havoc. The same people who are abusing us, taking advantage of us, exploiting us, they are laughing at us because we are jokers. What are we doing in our parliaments? And that is why you see what's happening in Burkina Faso, what's happening in Niger, what's happening in Mali. The youth are saying, now we know. Now our eyes are open. Now we know who the real problem is. Yes, we know the enemy as the former colonizers. We know the enemy as the multinationals who are in our countries, siphoning as much as they can. Yes, we know the NGOs are nothing but wolf in sheep's clothing. Yes, we know some of the embassies are no good. They are there to make sure that the instability in our countries continue. We know all that. However, we also know that our leaders could stop it. So yes, it is that the youth are rising. The youth are saying, you leaders, if you do not do the right thing, we will replace you. So we need more Traores in Africa. What's happening in Burkina Faso must be supported. What's happening in Niger must be supported. What's happening in Mali must be supported. The youth of Africa are sick and tired of being sick and tired. The issues of the root must be addressed. World Bank must stop giving us frivolous loans. World Bank must treat Africa fairly. Ours is a simple ask. We are simply saying to the world, we demand Africa that can be treated fairly, an Africa that can be treated as equals on the world stage, an Africa that is free of racism, bigotry, and hate. Our ask is a simple one. Our position is of stating the facts, stating the truth, constants that do not change. We're simply asking that the world does unto us what they would want done unto them. Anybody that has an issue that Africa has taken is somebody who is under earth. We want a peaceful world. We want a world that is just. And that is all we are asking. That is all our children are asking.
Thank you for watching this video. The speaker was Dr. Harikana, who has also been forefront in helping to liberate Africa from these shackles of colonization in Africa. Now, I want to talk about the black Africans, who I want to say that they are still divided, and this is also contributed by the unions, which are also helping in division of such African. Now, there is no union if there is no central union government combining all members state together under the constitution above each state's constitution. This means that each nation is in its own state, but all states are one nation together with an elected governor and each state's legislation. Now, like I said, the European strategy has always been to divide, conquer, and rule Africa for a very long time. And even there are also some speeches who have also been talking about how to make Africa in the lower level where they are not being noticed all over the world. But for how long are we going to talk about these issues? For how long are we going to try to strategize and change the tactics of these the white boys? Now, have you noticed that Dr. Arikon, or this woman, the first woman in this video, she also mentioned about loans, and she talks about Europeans and America, which also have central banks. In other words, the heads of the banks, that is the Federal Reserves, in our case controls the banks and the majority of chairmen of our banks and elsewhere in Africa. But definitely, the United States, which is still the world currency, is controlled always by a Jewish chairman that rolls out the loans. But I noticed that most black people are completely hopeless in distinguishing between the differences between ordinary whites and Jewish people, who make up to 60% of billions in America and run the entire mass media and have unconditional support for Israel. And if a war breaks out, your ass will be sent to the Middle East to go defend the Jewish. This is why Hitler pointed out Jews. This is why Idi Amin of Uganda pointed out Jews. This is why Iran currently points out Jews. This is why Osama was bin Laden in his letter to America specifically mentioned the Jews. So this is why the last Shah of Iran pointed out Jews. This is also why Benjamin Franklin specifically warned America about the Jews. This is why the black, that is Dr. Tony Martin, specifically wrote about Jews. This is why the last leader of Palestine, when it existed, spoke out about Jews, Yasser Arafat. Is there any black person with intelligence enough to notice the problem, specifically with Jews? Yet, or are they going to lead you to your demise? Now, a bunch of Jews going on about Africa in Highland while they shoot Palestinian children in the Middle East, nothing new but thanks for the people. Now, the thing is that I'm not here specifically to talk about the Jewish, but it has been known that the people who are causing this havoc to majority of the world, because they control the federal banks and many major banks, and they control up to 60% of economy of most of these powerful countries. So it is proven that these are the people who are causing this havoc all over. Now, this is not the problem here. The problem is, when is Africa going to re-strategize from these havoc problems, which are usually caused by these Jewish, which are usually caused by the Western leaders, which are usually caused by the puppets. Now let me talk about the puppets, because these are the people who are being controlled by the Western leaders. So the only best way is when we start conquering, when we start re-educating our youths and start focusing and holding strong on our principles of what we opt or what we need to happen in our nations. Because for a long time, it has been up to 60 years since majority of countries were independent, but yet there is no significant changes in either infrastructure, health, spirit, and anything. The only thing here is always about distraction, it's always about war and things which are necessary, which are causing people to suffer for a very long time. So we need to start changing leaders and re-strategize and change our means. So how are we going to do this? This is the question. The question is, how are we going to do this? It's when we start forming new institutions, we start liberating our people, we start talking or pointing our leaders of what they are really doing, or the rules they are passing out. It is very shameful. And if it is shameful, we are going to point them out, each and individual. This is going to happen only if you are encouraged, only if you are united and not being divided. But when during the demonstration in Nigeria, these people were divided by using a sack of maize, a sack of rice. So this is very disturbing, that the government keeps on making people to suffer in their own nation, yet they are not taking care of their people. So see you in another episode and think about these strategies. For how long are we going to liberate Africa?